Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. With that, it's an honor and privilege to welcome and introduce Manish Sharma, Group Chief Executive Operations, Accenture, for the closing remarks. Mr. Sharma, over to you.
Thanks a lot. First of all, I think it's great to be here today to share our insights on the BPO industry in COVID times. I've been with the firm for about 26 years, and I think the only thing that has been constant has been change. Much of it driven by digital transformation. I joined Accenture when outsourcing was at its infancy, a journey that began with our first delivery centers being set up in Philippines and India and continuing as we adapt our charter for digital era, and then again what I call as our hubs of specialists. It's with that kind of a history and current experience that I share my insights today. Next slide, please. If you go to the next slide, we are talking about here more in terms of the digital acceleration, the accelerated digital acceleration path. What we have seen with our clients and our own organization is that the key trends that began much before the pandemic have really accelerated at a significantly greater pace through this crisis. Even before the crisis, we found that we did a survey and we found that 10% of the companies leading technology adoption, they were performing twice as well as the bottom 25%. Twice. Digital leaders who had already invested in technology and had the necessary collaboration and infrastructure in place, they adjusted their supply chains much faster and adapted to the new ways of buying in the current crisis. If I were to even give an example, which is, in terms of even within my company, we were among the first companies in the world to act swiftly and effectively in responding to the global pandemic. Our capabilities allowed us to closely monitor the COVID-19 situation at the onset. In many cases, we actually anticipated the lockdowns much before the local governments announced them. Since we had a very strong digital core and had the necessary infrastructure in place, Accenture was able to pivot to remote working and business service continuity at the same time. This has allowed us to sustain delivery performance with no material service interruptions during the crisis. Now, if you were to really reflect back, what has really transpired is that the operating model has become vital to the business, not just as an enabler of the business strategy. Rather, the operating model is now the architect for setting a new course and strategies. Those doing that right will end up ahead. Organizations are working at speed, that they never really did before as they responded to crisis. They protected their people's kept their people safe, kept their operations working. Some of these new agile ways of working will have permanence. What's also changing is the leaders' expectations of what the operating model can achieve in the context of strategy, growth, and also the future of work. Now, what you will see on the next slide, if you were to move to the next slide, clearly, right, it is all about reinvention. Small change is not enough. Change has to be big, and that makes a huge difference. Traditionally, if you go around, companies make incremental changes to existing operations, making things faster, better, or cheaper, without actually changing how the work gets done. That is not enough to drive lasting change. The fact is that today, greatest success stories, you look at all the, the earlier automotive companies and everyone else, right? They have the result, the product of operational innovation. Whether finding new ways to fill orders, serve customers, or develop products, they represent opportunities to outmaneuver certainty and drive growth. It's about harnessing change and adapting what you see into the impact you want. That's why the role of operations isn't just about outcome improvement, it's also very much about creating entirely new ways of doing work. Within Accenture Operations, we have pivoted to new ways of working and engaging with clients. From virtual site visits to remote solutioning and mobilization, our proprietary capabilities, they enable us to manage the productivity and quality of our human plus machine workforce in a highly distributed model. We continue to see digital leaders move early, they're making big changes and are seeing the ROI today. But it's not about just technology alone. And if you move to the next slide, you talk in a world which is experiencing unprecedented workforce disruption with largely remote workforces, which I think is the new normal. Artificial intelligence puts your people at the center. It is actually the glue that links everyone together and makes humans more capable. It humanizes work by freeing up more time for creativity, empathy, and critical thinking. For example, having virtual agents, can help stabilize demand surges, but also free up human attention for the cases that need it most. It can enhance experiences with anytime, anywhere access to services and service consistency, whether it is a two-day shipping or it's a customer resolution. And as organizations operate with reduced staff, with new distancing rule, AI can help people build a more flexible organization by becoming the vehicle that enterprises use to pivot as situations change. And then comes certainty as far as security and compliance, whether for operators, for consumers, or for citizens. And and by the way, if you do all this well, you will of course get the cost reduction that we all the time talk about, right? And as you will see on the next slide, which is more in terms of what should leaders be doing differently as we move into this new era. We have found a number of defining characteristics among leaders as far as how they operate, bring together specialized talent, and capitalize on technology. Leaders scale innovation with hybrid, flexible models that align with overarching business strategy. This drives better outcomes by whether it's breaking down barriers between departments, capitalizes on distributed teams of specialized talent. Second, this also scale human and AI collaboration to continuously drive new sources of value, as we discussed earlier. And the third one, which I'll say, is being cloud first is a core enabler of business continuity, mission critical processes and applications. We expect the rate of adoption to grow from 20% in the cloud to 80% in the cloud over the next few years. Leaders are also led by actionable, real-time insights. Today, only 1% of the data is being analyzed, so it represents a significant area of untapped potential. The key takeaway from this is we are only doing a fraction of what's possible. And the universal nature of the crisis means lessons can be learned and applied as a template for charting your own course. And I think that is really, really important. If you move to the next slide, because the, is a quote which I really love. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Because at the heart of change lies opportunity. It's often like you see periods of uncertainty that uncover unexpected opportunities for meaningful change and the opportunity to emerge stronger than ever before. In the wake of recent societal, industry, and technological changes, operating models are proving to be the key to not just navigating change, but harnessing change to deliver greater capability, competitive advantage, and resilience, and better business outcomes. Thank you. But this is what we had, and we're happy to kind of get into any questions and answers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manish Sharma, for your closing remarks. You've summed it up very well for us. And right now, we do not have any questions for you. But if there are any questions, we will send them to you offline. Thank you for taking time off from your busy schedule and joining us at this summit. And we wish you and Accenture the very best going forward.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen,